I've used this book, read this book every single day since the summer of 2020. Every single day, unless I'm in silent retreat. And because I'm finalizing lesson 365 today, I wanted to talk about why focus on this book? Why A Course in Miracles? Why have I dedicated practically every single day outside of silent retreat to read this book? The answer can be best shared in a story. If you've been following me for a while and listening to the videos I've shared, you may remember that I had this epiphany, this aha moment that I recognized why I studied physics and engineering, why I wanted to be an astronaut, why I was spending so much of my energy and effort seeking external achievements. And one day I suddenly realized that, oh my gosh, there's this disconnect that I've had, this misunderstanding, and the universe that I want to understand is actually inside. That's the gist of what happened in 2017 when I had like this, I call it a spiritual awakening. So after that, a year later, I quit my job and I went over to Peru, not knowing really what I was searching for. I did know that I was searching for unconditional love, but I really didn't know much more than that. I kept asking though. I kept asking and praying for an answer. I kept seeking for clarity. And in May of 2020, I had this insight in meditation to teach forgiveness, which was like, I would have never imagined to teach forgiveness, right? Especially with a degree in science. It just didn't make sense to me. But I kept asking for guidance. And in June of 2020, for a series of coincidences, I downloaded a book by David Hawkins on Audible. It's actually the David Hawkins Library on Audible, which I highly recommend for anyone who has an Audible subscription. With 1 credit, you can get the entire David Hawkins library called the Ultimate David Hawkins Library. Incredible set of resources, basically explaining levels of consciousness in the human experience. So I'm not going to go into David Hawkins today, but because of my scientific background and because of his experience and what he was sharing, I realized that I wanted to trust what he was saying. It sounded true to me, the different levels of consciousness of humankind, and that unconditional love is one of the highest states of human consciousness that every single person can achieve. That's basically what I heard him say. And he pointed out that A Course in Miracles was a way to do that. And I believed him. So that's the key that I wanted to leave with that whole sharing of Dr. David Hawkins. I believed him. And so in June of 2020, I decided that I was going to learn from A Course in Miracles. I just, out of borrowed faith from what I just shared with you. And I didn't know where to start because this book is divided into 3 segments. There is a textbook, there is a student manual, and then there's a teacher's manual. So I started with the student manual. I had no idea. So lesson 1, actually right here. I literally opened the page to lesson 1. Of course. So I started with lesson 1 in June of 2020. And I kept doing the lessons every day until it was January of 2021. So 6 months of doing the lessons every single day, I had a dream. And in that dream, it was so evident and so clear that our mental field has infinite potential. The mind, think of it. The mind creates all of the music, all of the poetry, all of the architecture, all of the scientific discoveries, all languages, like everything that we are experiencing in this world that we are creating as human beings is an idea that originates in the mind. Like, and there's no limit to it. It's infinite. As an artist who creates music, it's not like you run out of music to write. It's just they continue creating. They're just ideas. Has infinite potential. Now, what happens is that with our own free will, we plant seeds in our mental field. We plant seeds that are skillful, wholesome seeds that are in alignment with love and kindness and compassion and forgiveness and balance. And we can plant seeds that are based on greed, hatred, distortion, delusions, rejection, judgments. We plant seeds in our own mental field. And what the Course in Miracles helps us do is start to to give less power to the thoughts and beliefs and actions and behaviors that we have taken that are based on what's unreal, on distortions of truth. An example of that could be we criticize a child out of ignorance, and that child can accept that criticism as being real. I'm using that as an idea, as an example, how something that's unreal can be planted in the field of consciousness, in our field of thoughts. And when we give power to them, now we create all sorts of stories. And I've shared in the past how we innocently have beliefs that are simply unreal and cause an enormous amount of suffering. So, the Course in Miracles, what I understood in that dream was that it was systematically tapping into the unconscious mind to retrain the mind to choose beliefs that are based on truth, on the power that we have as being beings that have been created by the expansion of life itself. We are an expression of life with infinite potential to create, just like life creates more stars and more galaxies and more vastness that we can possibly imagine. It's visible to us. Trees have more seeds that are needed to continue the population of a tree. It's like there's so much abundance, and we are an expression of that abundance, and we create equal to that abundance. And it's our free will to choose if we want to create in accordance to the laws of the universe, which is expansive and loving and kind and eternal and pure, or we create from a place of ignorance and any of the qualities that may keep us separate from the reality that connects us to the whole. So that's what the Course in Miracles does. It's not something that you can explain logically. It is an experience that has to be lived, because as you go day by day, you learn to trust yourself. So that's one of the things so I had a few things that I wanted to share of, like, what are the top things that the Course in Miracles has helped me to, beyond doubt, absolutely understand from experience. And the first thing that I had in mind to share with you was the Course in Miracles helped me integrate what it truly means to trust yourself. And that is so powerful, because one of the reasons why we don't trust ourselves is because we're constantly doubting ourselves due to the arisings in the mind that contradict our deepest values. So we are all for peace and love and unity, and we're one, and heaven forbid someone gets in the way of me and lunch, because, or like bumps my car, or like, right, like there are things that happen in life, and our own mind will bring to our awareness things that contradict our deepest values. And so how can we possibly trust ourselves when our own minds are negating our deepest values? When we identify with a thought system that's not real. And so that's why I say one of the most powerful realizations that I've had from applying the principles of A Course in Miracles is that I've learned what it means to trust myself. I can trust me because I can see what comes to my awareness, and I can discern that's not a story that is real. And this is where I talk about forgiveness. I talk about acceptance. I've been talking about these concepts since I came back online in May, but I haven't told you why. So this is part of that, right? Accepting that we have the arising, accepting that the thing that we value the most has just been challenged internally with a thought that negates all of that we believe in. And when we think that we are our thoughts, we just got a hit internal. It's like, ouch, why am I feeling this way? Why am I reacting this way when I really want to respond in a different way? And when we don't understand what's happening, this is why we don't trust ourselves. And so this process of now becoming aware of what arises and witnessing it. This has been the habit pattern of my mind until now. And I just keep rolling on it without understanding, without wisdom, without true seeing, without wise seeing. I keep bumping on the same mistakes. And so now I see the arising and I accept that that is there. No, I'm not going to blame anybody for it, but I'm also not going to blame myself. The arising is there. And I accept that it's there, and it's not who I truly am. And I can choose again. So that's the second insight, like embodied practice that I've gained from A Course in Miracles. I can choose again. In every moment, I can choose again. And so what am I choosing? I am choosing to separate, discern, sift. I'm choosing to separate my identity from everything that comes to my conscious field. So now I'm not identified with that thought. I can see the thought, but I'm not identifying with it. I can see it. I created space between my true essence, the expression of life itself, witnessing a thought system. And now I accept the thought system is there. And now I forgive it. I forgive all the times that I've identified with it. I forgive all the people who have contributed to this thought system. And in forgiving myself and forgiving others, this is how we free ourselves and we free the world. And when we're not identifying anymore, we're not judging ourselves anymore. When we're not judging ourselves anymore, we're not judging others anymore. The Course in Miracles is absolutely life-changing. And of course, I'm also incorporating mindfulness. So it's the Course in Miracles is basically, you can think of it as the consciousness of Jesus, of Christ, and mindfulness, vipassana, silent meditation, is the teachings of the Buddha. So consciousness of wisdom. So you can think of Course in Miracles, consciousness of love. If you don't like the word Jesus, it's okay. It's love. And silent meditation, vipassana, mindfulness, is the teachings of the Buddha. If you don't like that word, it's okay. It's the teachings of wisdom. And so wisdom and love have been my main teachers for the last, well, X number of years. I started meditating with silent meditation in 2018 for the first time. So grateful to have found that resource, the 10-day silent retreats with Cuenca, which I highly recommend, and then moved on to the 2 and 3 month retreats later in life. But so between the teachings of the Buddha and the teachings of Jesus, I am a different person because I have learned to observe my mind, to choose differently, to love myself so that I can love others around me, so that I can show up as the change that I want to see in this world. I will leave it here, and if you would like to dive into any of those topics, please leave comments, ask questions so that I know that you're interested, and I'll share more about those things. Until next time, have a beautiful, beautiful weekend, and continue trusting yourself and asking yourself for guidance. In asking yourself for guidance, your deepest self, you're tapping into the consciousness of the entire universe, and be open to receiving. Universe, teach me, guide me, help me learn to trust myself fully. Help me discern. Help me be confident in my purpose and watch the universe unfold. I love you all. Thank you for watching if you've stayed this long.